being.
Say something really important.
Sure.
I was a heroin addict, but it's not the most interesting thing I've ever done.
As a rebel grandmother, I would like to ask when you discovered you were a pufter.
The new Boy George, next Donahue, the London Palladium.
Donahue, tomorrow afternoon at 5 on TV8.
Wouldn't it be great if one of these years we talked about the Indians on this night?
Yeah, well, one of these decades will be there. Hopefully this one. Baseball's second season begins tonight in the City of Angels, and the Mets are huge favorites to return to the Fall Classic. The Dodgers are beat up. Valenzuela, Dave Henderson out, Gibson's hurting. Same for John Tudor. He's nursing a sore hip, but Tommy Lasorda will get little sympathy from Mets manager Davey Johnson.
You know, you hate to see a club not at full strength, but that's part of baseball. And, you know, we're healthy, but, you know, my heart goes out to Tommy, but not that much.
The Mets are the hottest of the 4 teams in postseason. They won 14 of their last 16. They also beat the Dodgers in 10 of 11 meetings. Dwight Gooden will oppose Orel Hershiser in Game 1 tonight. Sid Thrift took over the Pirates' general manager job in 1985, and through shrewd trades, he took a last-place team, turned them into contenders. This year, the Bucks finished with a record of 87-75, good for second place in the NL East. Today, team president Carl Barger fired Thrift. Barger felt Thrift showed a lack of concern for money while rebuilding the Pittsburgh franchise. Fantastic finish in New Orleans last night. Bobby Hebert's pass set up the winning field goal. Morton Anderson true from 49 yards as time expired for a 2017 win over Dallas. Saints' 4th win in a row, moving them into a first-place tie with the LA Rams. Matt Barr, with the exception of that block kick in Kansas City, has been perfect on the year. But should he stumble, Jeff Jager is still on the injured list and can be activated at any time.
Yeah, but the battle's still there. Whether Jeff was in Cleveland like he is or sitting at home, the competition would always be there simply because as soon as I am unsuccessful, then they'll want Jeff back. And Jeff's a more than competent kicker, and it keeps me on my toes trying to constantly improve.
Time now to unveil this week's TV8 Top 8, and here is Dan Coughlin with the area's best.
In 8th place, Chardon, as the Hilltoppers feature maybe their best team ever. That's as in all-time history. Holding firm in 7th is Euclid, as tailback Robert Smith gained his usual 221 yards in 22 carries in a big Greater Cleveland Conference win over Brush. Still unbeaten and in 6th place, narrowly, the Sandusky Blue Streaks, after surviving a 17-14 scare at Lorraine Admiral King. Slipping from 3rd to 5th is the legend Massillon, which lost for the first time 20-19 on the road at Austintown Fitch, the first loss for new coach Lee Owens. Moving up a notch to 4th spot is Akron Garfield, the perennial power of the Rubber City. And up to 3rd is the defending Division II state champion, Akron Buchtel. Still a strong 2nd and ranked 1st in the state in Division II, the St. Joe Vikings with sensational sophomore quarterback Tony Miller, who scored 3 more touchdowns on the road in a 20-14 win over state-ranked Toledo Whitmer. And the Vikings' next 3 games are at Canton McKinley, at St. Ignatius, and home to Massillon. And still number 1, even though we're not impressed by big scores, St. Ignatius, the Wildcats weren't able to hold it down in a 75-0 win over John F. Kennedy. Now, once more, by the numbers. Number 1 is St. Ignatius. 2nd is St. Joe's. Ranked 3rd is Akron Buchtel, followed by Akron Garfield. Number 5 is Massillon. 6th is Sandusky. 7 Euclid, and rounding out the top 8 is Chardon. Now, Casey, who's sitting out there on the bubble?
Well, real close to the top 8, Canton McKinley, Collinwood, Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, Shaw, and West Geauga. And coming up in today's Sports Extra.
Marty, in order to prepare for the Seahawks, won't you have to study Brian Bosworth's scummy autobiography book?
It's not on my list. I haven't read it.
Well, this week's Hey Marty has questions about all the injuries, 4th down play calling, and as you just heard, a book report. That's still to come in today's Hey, Marty.
And as always, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
And it was a meteorological medley today with waterspouts on parade as the feature.
A potpourri, and I mentioned last night the possibility we could see waterspouts because of the very chilly Canadian air coming across Lake Erie. And we had two of our ace photographers out there, Bill West and Gary Korb, who were preserving some of this for posterity. And there you see one of the waterspouts. There were 5 of them between 2 and 2:30 this afternoon. Casey said on the shoreway there was a waterspout watch in effect. Traffic was slow going. And there is a rope waterspout. We'll come back later in the show and have a whole minute video of these incredible waterspouts, so have your video cassette recorders ready at that time. We'll check on another chilly night and more lake effect right after this.
You're 10 minutes late. It's not a big problem. It's just lots of little problems. That's why we have telephones in our offices, in our homes, and someday built right into our cars. But right now, you're 10 minutes late. And that's reason enough to have a Cellular One car phone installed today.
Cellular One that goes with the territory.
For about $3.69, this is the kind of lunch you get at a fast food restaurant.
Hi.
And for $3.69, this is the kind of lunch you get at Ponderosa.
Excuse me.
Introducing Ponderosa's Grand Buffet Lunch.
Oops, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
There are over 80 items, like chicken wings, pastas, soups, and salads. It's all you can eat. And because you serve yourself, you can have it as fast as you want.
Well, I got my money's worth. How about you?
The Grand Buffet now makes lunch grander than ever.
Low prices are in New Philadelphia's future. We're Hills, a discount department store with truly low prices every day. In fact, Hills discounts every item in every department every day, including one of the biggest selections of family fashions anywhere. Come celebrate the grand opening of Hills Department Store, Wednesday, October 5th, 9:30 a.m. in New Philadelphia, Broadway at Route 250.
Check us out. Now that George Voinovich needs your vote for the U.S. Senate, his ads claim that he supports and defends Social Security. But the Cleveland Plain Dealer reported Voinovich has done an about-face. In fact, before the campaign, Voinovich advocated cutting Social Security 3 different times. Isn't it amazing what some politicians try to get away with? Voinovich says he's changed. The question is, what happens if he gets to the Senate and doesn't need your vote anymore? Howard Metzenbaum, you know where he stands.
Well, we had a frost overnight, but folks, the worst is really yet to come, and that's really terrific news.
Well, there was frost, right? Well, I don't. It does away with a lot of the insect pests in the gardens and weeds. But come Thursday morning and Friday morning, I think in many other areas that did not see frost last night, there's going to be the potential. But with the lake water still at 66 degrees, if you're within a mile or so of the Lake Erie shoreline, I think your growing season is going to be extended considerably. This was taken by Gary Korb today. A beautiful shot of the Chippewa Creek in Brecksville Reservation of the Metro Parks. Well, if you want to see the color change, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, certainly the Metro Parks would be the place to be over the next couple of weeks. 59 degrees in the city. The wind is north-northwest at 16. Humidity 49%. Barometer 3010. It is beginning to rise slowly. Trace of rain in the area. A.J. Colby at Conneaut at late day reported just shy of a half an inch of rain with thunder as the showery weather accompanying the front moved by. It had been raining at the Akron-Canton reporting point within the last 2 hours. Pollution Standard Index 25 today and 25 the forecast here for the day. Wednesday we still have some rain left over in the Youngstown area moving into Mahoning County and down here just to the west northwest of Steubenville. Earlier, about 2 hours ago, we had a fairly distinct line of showers there. That is just behind the cool front that is going on into the state of Pennsylvania, the old Keystone State. Water temperature 66 degrees. Small craft advisory now. SCA should be there. But anyway, a northwest fetch 15 and 25. Waves 4 to 7. Could see a gale warning tomorrow because of the increased velocities out of the northwest at 20 to 30. Not a nice time to be out on Lake Erie. And even Thursday, I think you're going to have a bumpy lake out there around the state. Current readings, 55 Hopkins, 51 Akron-Canton. Frost threat again tonight, mainly in low-lying areas away from the lake. But we're going to have an active wind tonight, something we didn't have last night, and that should inhibit frost in many locations. But again, there is some chance of that. We see 60s down along the Ohio River, 61 currently at Columbus, and 58, 37, the extremes in Cleveland, 36 at Akron-Canton. Mrs. Failer, Possum Run Road, Mansfield, 27 this morning. Dick Miller, Pepper Pike had a 31, Doylestown 30. Akron-Canton had a 36 morning low. 59, 35 a year ago, so a snappy one then. Sunrise 728 down at 703. Backing up 18 to 20 hours ago, with our clear skies overnight, you're going to see this line of clouds. See the swirl here? This is the cold front going by. Very good photograph of what happened. Some clouds still over the eastern part of Ohio, and we'll have some more clearing behind it before we get under this cloud deck that is wrapping around the storm center that is over Lake Superior. Snowing even now as we speak up in places like Traverse City, Michigan. Low pressure area aloft, 18,000 feet. This is what is bringing in that Eskimo air. Surface map, low pressure again near Sault Ste. Marie, and here's the airflow around it. Center of this large mountain of Canadian high pressure still in the Dakotas, dropping our way. Here's the front that has gone by. You're going to see the rain and snow mix to the north of the low. Now, overnight tonight in a few spots, high ground areas along with rain showers. You may have sleet. You could have a touch of wet snow. Even into the day tomorrow, that is possible, even over the high ground just to the south of Cleveland. I don't think the snow is going to be a big deal at all. I've been talking to the computer, and we're going to be on the same page eventually. Normally, I'd put the temperatures in as you see it here to relate to the front, but not now. Upper 80s along the east coast of Florida, 90, Tampa, St. Pete. Here you see the mild air, but that's behind that front. If you recall, the front was angling in this fashion. Look at the air up around Moose Factory and up around the Lake Winnipeg, places like that. Southwest, a beautiful day and warm. Our forecast for tonight, the winds still coming in north-northwest, and that'll be the case on Wednesday at 12 to as high as 25, with gusts beyond that, especially within a mile of the Lake Erie shoreline. For tonight, a variable sky, the chance of spotty frost away from Lake Erie in low-lying areas. Primarily, a rain shower could come in from the lake most any time. Could, in a few spots, mix with a touch of wet snow over the high ground early tomorrow and even well into the day. 38 the low tonight as an average. Wednesday, a lot of clouds, lake effect, windy, high tomorrow. Well, you didn't see it, but 50 degrees only, moving towards 50. Lows tomorrow night, mid-30s, and then Thursday. Clouds and sun, only 50. Could frost on us Thursday morning and Friday morning, then 55 Friday, 60 Saturday, and into the 60s on Sunday. So the warm-up will occur. It'll be gradual. And again, coming back, we'll take another look at those water spouts.
Okay. We have to get used to that word again, snow. Everyone flinches every time you say it.
I never can quite get used to that.
Well, thank you, Dick. As we get closer to winter, the days are getting shorter. Not a big deal to most people, but Newscenter 8's Gary Stromberg says to others, a loss of daylight is a major concern.
Many think autumn is the most beautiful time of the year, the time when nature shows off its colors. But as the leaves get more and more colorful, the days get shorter and shorter. This deprivation of daylight is a real concern to people suffering from seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. People susceptible to this disorder find themselves depressed, and then
the patients, in addition, have a change in appetite. Their appetite goes up. They gain weight, have cravings for sweets. They have a decrease in energy, and this is accompanied by a lot of sleep. Patients typically sleep 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 hours more a day.
This disorder is, of course, most troublesome in the dead of winter. But doctors say many patients start feeling mild symptoms right now, at the beginning of fall. 80% of the seasonal affective disorder patients respond favorably to light therapy. They sit down in front of a special high-intensity, full-spectrum light.
The current recommendation right now is for patients to take 2 hours a day and sit at a distance of 3 feet in front of the light.
If you have the time and the money, a trip to Florida will ease the problem.
About 47 days after the change in latitude, they get better. And then they come back to Cleveland, and a week later, they're the way they were before.
Doctors say those who suffer with SAD are born with it. The disorder always clears up in spring when the days start getting longer. Gary Stromberg, Newscenter 8.
Well, we know about that. Well, for those of you thinking about retirement, a story that could be to your benefit is coming up.
Mike O'Mara has that and more in Money Matters.
On the next USA Today, supermodels. Estee Lauder thinks they've